'Tis the season for ballet as the Nutcracker returns to the stage for the holidays. We thought this would be a great time to talk with UPMC's sports medicine department, who offers specialized care for these dancers and others in the area. I'm here now with senior physical therapist Catherine Hagan-Vargo. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
And we were just talking, this is a really cool gig. Tell us about your role at UPMC.
Yeah, so I'm a senior physical therapist, which means I'm in the clinic for most of my life, but I also then do go to the rehearsal studios for Pittsburgh Ballet Theater. And so I do kind of coverage in the clinic, but then also go to their venue. We also cover all the live stage shows. So think about the medical team on the sideline of major sporting events. That's us, but we're just in the wings for all the dancers. We go on tour with them, so it's a really fun job.
That is awesome. So what does a typical day look like for you then?
So most of the time I'm down at the Rooney Sports Medicine Center down on South Side, and I'm treating a little bit of everything. I have some younger kids, I have some older adults, I have folks that have sports injuries, but then I also have folks that are kind of your normal patients, your folks that want to get better, they want to get back up and down off the ground with their grandkids. So I get to see a little bit of everything.
And I'm so glad you talked about being kind of on the sidelines of the stage here, because it is a sport, it's a physical activity, and they are using so many different muscles and body parts to, you know, if they're a point, to get up on their toes. So what do you typically see? What are some of the conditions or problems that you would see?
Yeah, it varies a little bit by style of dance, as you would imagine. So with your classical ballet, about 50% of the injuries are just foot and ankle.
Yeah.
Which is wild. But then we start looking into some shoulder injuries, back injuries, things like that. But most of the time it's going to be something in the lower extremity, most often foot and ankle.
I'm so curious about like conditioning feet and ankles for dance like this, because when they go up on their toes, there has to be, I mean, your whole body weight is being supported by your toes.
For sure. One common myth is that there's wood in the block of the toe shoe. It's just paper mache and cardboard. So it's the strength of their feet, paper mache and cardboard, and that's what the dancers are really standing on. And so they have to be incredibly strong, well-conditioned athletes, but they're also artists.
Right.
So it's that combination of artist and athlete that I think makes dance such a unique activity. I always say, what other sport lifts whole humans above their heads?
Yep. Yeah.
And then does it with one arm.
Yeah.
And gracefully.
It's that and ice skating. Same thing, figure skating, where they're doing the same thing only on ice. I'm like, I don't know how on earth. I'm sure a lot of parents who are watching who have kids who are dancers as well. Are there any things that people can do to prevent injuries from happening ahead of time?
Absolutely, especially during this time of year when it's often Nutcracker season, it's holiday performances, it's all of those things.
Yeah.
We can't stress enough the importance of rest and good hydration and good nutrition and cross-training and all of those things. So in addition to the work of dance, let's talk about that restoration, that restorative rest, that recovery. That's a really big piece of the puzzle, especially this time of year. But then when we move outside of this time of year, let's talk about really good cross-training. Let's talk about really good conditioning. Let's make sure that their technique is spot on, so that way they're not compensating. You know, if they are not using the right muscle groups to do the work. So that's one of the things that we always emphasize at sports medicine, is that we have a team. We have physicians, we have physical therapists, athletic trainers, sports performance, we have dietitians that are all
working
here,
together.
working together to really try and help these dancers have happy, long, healthy careers. That's what we're all about at sports medicine.
So you mentioned helping the Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, but you also work with Point Park University and some other groups too.
Absolutely, yeah, and all these dancers have the same needs, but it's different. And so if you're talking about, you know, your younger dancers that are in their tween years, they're dancing 20 plus hours a week as well, but they're doing it in acro and tap and ballet and lyrical and contemporary. And so with those dancers, I'm talking about how do we transition from style to style well. We talk about that same rest, we talk about that recovery. We're talking about, hey, mom, dad, grandparent, what do you have in the car when you pick that dancer up so that they have a good recovery nutrition?
After, right.
And all of those sorts of things. And with my collegiate dancers, we're having those same conversations, because not only are they dancing, but they're also taking academics. And so, okay, how do we balance all of that?
Yes, yeah.
So it's the same conversation but different.
So, I think when we think of physical therapists, we often think after we're injured, we go see someone. But is there a way for people to come in and see you ahead of time?
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that we really recommend is come on in when something feels a little funny, or come on in when that turn isn't going quite as smoothly as it was before.
Yeah.
And so patients can call 1-855-MY-SPORT, and that will help them get connected with the right team
To help.
whether that's dancers or any athlete that's coming in, and we'll find you the right team to help.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
What a good conversation too, and not something, I had no idea you guys were hanging out in the wings,
Yeah.
waiting to be there to help somebody if they get injured on stage. It's really cool. If you're interested in learning more about the specialized care for dancers at UPMC or any sport, you can head to our website, kdka.com/talkpittsburgh. Coming up next on the show, get organized this holiday. We're sharing tips on how to pack up your decorations at the end of the month.